"Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to step away from the flag." The words came out sharp but uneasy, cracking through the stillness like glass under pressure. The airport manager's voice held authority, but not conviction. Just inches away stood a casket, perfectly draped in the American flag. A Marine stood beside it, back straight, hand resting firmly on the fabric, eyes forward. He didn't move, not a flinch. The terminal had gone silent. Passengers froze mid-step. Conversations died mid-sentence. It was as if time itself held its breath. This wasn't some protocol issue or minor delay. This was something else entirely. And right there, at Gate 42B, a quiet war was being fought, not with weapons, but with dignity. The manager tried again. I said, "Step back. You're not allowed to handle the cargo." His voice was louder this time, almost embarrassed by the silence that had swallowed the gate. He waved to security, trying to get control of a situation he clearly didn't understand. But still, the Marine stood firm. No response, no explanation. Then, finally, the Marine spoke. Calm. Steady. Like every word had been memorized, practiced in silence 100 times. "With all due respect, sir, this isn't cargo, this is a Marine. And I will not leave his side." If this moment already has you feeling something, take a second to subscribe to Chronicle Hub, where we bring you stories that remind us what truly matters. A TSA officer stepped in. "Sir, we have procedures. You're delaying operations. We need to move the casket." But the Marine slowly turned his head and locked eyes with him. "There are procedures," he said, "and then there is honor." Behind him, the flag lay stretched with military precision. Not a wrinkle, not a corner out of place. Beneath that flag rested Corporal Jake Morrison, 23 years old. Killed in action overseas, he never made it home on his own 2 feet. Jake wasn't just any soldier, he was his soldier, the one he trained with, the one he laughed with, the one he carried through Afghan hills when Jake twisted his ankle on patrol. And now, he was carrying him one last time. The Marine had been assigned as Jake's escort. It wasn't a favor, it wasn't a job, it was a sacred duty. From the second the casket touched American soil until the moment it reached the hands of Jake's family, the Marine was never to leave it. No interruptions, no exceptions. But the airport staff didn't see it that way. They saw delays, they saw inconvenience. To them, it was just another box that needed to be pushed through a system already running late. "Sir," the manager said again, clearly frustrated now, "this isn't a funeral home. We don't do ceremonies here. Either you move or we will remove you." He could have argued. He could have explained the tradition, the code, the weight of military honor, the quiet watch, the eternal salute. But he didn't. Because something deeper rooted him to that spot. Memories. Jake talking about home, his mother's lemon pie, his father's fishing trips, his sister's graduation he missed because of deployment. The way Jake used to hum country roads after every mission, claiming it was his soul's GPS. This wasn't a delivery, it was a goodbye. And if he let go now, Jake's story would end in silence and metal ramps. Just then, a small voice broke through the heavy quiet. "Mommy, why is he touching the flag?" A little girl, no older than 6, stood beside her mother, clutching a worn-out teddy bear. Her innocence pierced through the tension like sunlight through storm clouds. Her mother gently tried to hush her, but the Marine looked down, and with the softest nod, he answered, "Because he's making sure someone gets home." That one sentence hit harder than anything else. The manager faltered. Security paused. The crowd shifted. Something invisible, but heavy, began to settle on their shoulders. The cost of service. The meaning of sacrifice. The Marine bent slightly and whispered, "This man gave everything. This flag isn't decoration. It's a promise." And then he moved, slowly, deliberately, his gloved hand still resting firmly on the casket. He began to walk not because he had been given permission, but because duty didn't need permission. Heads turned. People rose to their feet, hats came off, hands went to hearts. Somewhere in the crowd, a veteran in a wheelchair lifted his hand in salute. Others began to cry silently. Phones came out not for show, but for remembrance. And just like that, in the middle of a busy terminal, time stood still. If this story is reaching your heart, remember to hit that subscribe button on Chronicle Hub. Because stories like these deserve to be remembered, and we're here to tell them all. He walked with the weight of a nation behind him. Step by step, the Marine led the silent procession through the terminal. There was no announcement over the speakers, no flashing lights, Just a man refusing to let a brother be forgotten. The flag never slipped beneath his touch. His posture never wavered. Every movement carried reverence, precision, pain. By now, dozens of passengers stood along the walls. Some placed hands over their hearts, others simply bowed their heads. A few began to hum the national anthem, softly at first, like a prayer. Then others joined in, not loud, not theatrical, just real. And there, in a crowded airport gate, a spontaneous tribute unfolded not because someone asked, but because everyone felt it. If you haven't already, this is your moment to subscribe to Chronicle Hub, because this is more than a story, it's a truth too many forget, and we'll keep telling it. At the end of the terminal, the family stood waiting, a mother holding back tears that had already stained her cheeks, a father with trembling lips and a stiff salute, a younger sister clutching a folded photograph, too overwhelmed to even cry. The Marine's steps grew heavier. His gloves were soaked with sweat, but he didn't break stride. His throat burned, his legs ached, but this wasn't about comfort, this was about keeping a promise. The moment he reached them, the mother collapsed, her body shaking with grief. The father stepped forward, saluting the flag with every ounce of strength he had left. The sister fell to her knees, her voice a whisper, "Welcome home, Jake." No other words were needed. The Marine stood silent, breathing deeply, his eyes fixed on the casket like he was still standing guard. Then, and only then, did he remove his hand from the flag. Slowly, carefully, he folded it with the care of someone handling a heartbeat, corner by corner, line by line. The triangle at the end was perfect, crisp, reverent. He knelt and placed it in the mother's hands. His voice was quiet, but it echoed through every soul in that terminal. He didn't die alone, he said. He was loved. He was honored. There was no clapping, no shouting, just silence. The kind that says everything without speaking a word, the kind that lingers in your bones. But then, after a long moment, the airport manager stepped forward. His face was pale, his eyes red, his voice barely held together. I didn't understand, he whispered. I'm sorry. The Marine didn't say much, just gave a small nod, one that said more than any lecture ever could. Now you do. And with that, the moment broke. Not like something shattered, but like something sacred had finally been understood. Applause started. Not wild, not chaotic, but slow, steady, respectful. A rising wave of realization moving down the terminal. Because in that moment, America remembered. It didn't matter if you were late for a flight, rushing to baggage claim, or sipping overpriced coffee. For those few minutes, everyone stood still. Everyone felt it. The weight of sacrifice, the price of service, the meaning of a flag, not as fabric but as legacy. And that's why stories like this must be told. They're not viral trends, they're not headlines, they're what remind us of who we are and who paid the price for it. So, if this story moved you, if it made you pause, reflect, or even cry, do one simple thing. Subscribe to Chronicle Hub right now, because we promise to keep bringing you stories that matter. Stories that honor, stories that heal, and maybe, just maybe, help us all remember.